welcome to part 67 in my build log series of the Trumpeter 1:200 scale model of the Titanic. The observant viewer will notice that the superstructure is missing, and that's because it's next door, ready to be worked on. So today I'm finishing off a deck. Everything, with the exception of the stairs, will be finished today. So that is adding deck chairs, adding all the relevant benches, that kind of thing, and of course adding people as well. So a reasonable amount to do. Not sure how long the video will last, but we'll see. Without any further ado, let's crack on. So here we are. This is the deck space that we'll be populating today. And it's quite a large footprint, and so I've got quite a few figures. This box has 78 figures in, and these are all passengers. And I also have a fairly large selection of officers and crew, which I can sort of add in here, there and everywhere as I see fit. So I doubt I'll use all 78, but I'm deliberately not paying too much attention to the amount of people I'm putting in. I don't sort of want to put 5 here, 7 there. I'm not planning it that closely. I'm just wanting, I'll put them in and then I'll go away, come back 20 minutes later, have a look, have a think. Is that enough? Probably not. Add a few more, and just sort of build it up slowly and see how we go. I don't want to do them all in one go because you run the risk of putting in too many, and of course it's much easier to put more in than to take some out. So I'll just sort of drip feed it, add 10, 15 people, leave it, come back, add another few, etc, etc. So we'll see how we go. Just one thing to be wary of, you'll notice that because of the way I've designed this, the deck housing for this area, for a deck, actually is connected to the boat deck above it. Here it is down here next to me. You can see that the deck housings are actually attached to the boat deck. So because of that, I am just going to be a wee bit careful not to put people too close to the walls, because of course the inevitable will happen at some point. The boat deck will get put down and that person will have a big piece of plastic land on them and they'll snap in half or whatever, which of course we don't want. So just a little bit of pragmatism and make sure that they're a bit more protected. Right, I'm just about to start to do the scene at the back next to the Veranda Cafe Palm Court with the band, and I will take photos of the band players so that you can see them individually. But here is the cellist, and we've also got 3 playing the violin. And as promised, here is a photo of the band all together. So the cellist of course needs a chair, and I have decided on a chair from the grand staircase, obviously the aft grand staircase here. Now my reason for that is that Veranda Cafe Palm Court is quite busy, so unlikely that a chair will be available there. The next closest chairs are in the first class smoking room, but the access between the Veranda Cafe and the smoking room is a revolving door, so challenging to get a chair through there. So the next easiest place to get a chair from is the grand staircase, and that's why I've chosen a grand staircase chair. So the cellist will be sitting in one of these. So with that in mind, just glue him in. And we'll leave him to dry for 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll crack on sticking these folk down. So the band are in place, as you can see, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people watching so far. And the one thing I just wanted to sort of draw attention to at this point is you've got to be damn careful that you don't use the same figure too often. Because of course, because these are all 3D printed, they're 3D printed from models. So it is inevitable that you will have multiple figures in similar poses, or indeed identical poses. And that's normally not a problem because, you know, if one is over here and the other's over there, over here somewhere, it doesn't really matter. But when they are very close together, the illusion rather gets shattered. So it's important when you're doing something like this, where there are a lot of people in a focal point, it's important that you're aware of it then and make sure you don't duplicate people, because it just looks a bit naff. Also, women in dresses are infinitely easier to put down than people in trousers, because the dress gives a nice wide base for the glue to sit on, whereas if you've got trousers on, you've only got 2 very, very small shoes to glue onto the surface. So that's another thing I've discovered today. It was at this point I realised I'd slightly arsed up, because of course there is meant to be a bench here, and I had put a person in the place. So that's a lesson for me right there. Do the things that can't move and glue them down before you glue down the things that can move. That was a bit of an unforced error, to use a sporting phrase, but it's okay because you came up fine. So I'll put these benches in, and actually while I'm doing it I'll do all the benches, so then I can't make any more errors. Well, I mean, I can make more errors, and I undoubtedly will make more errors, but I can't make any more errors by putting people where benches should be. So that's one. You'll notice, of course, that these are the cute, sort of dainty small benches as well. So I'm very happy with this. We've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 14 people watching, 15 people watching, which seems like enough. I might add a few more. There's clearly space for more, but I don't want to go overboard. And as I say, you've got to be a little bit careful about adding too many of the same people in the same pose, you know. I think I've dodged that bullet largely, but make your own mind up on that one. What I've tried to do is I've tried to put fairly logical couples together. So for example, the gentleman in the bowler hat and the grey suit is standing with an elderly lady. They're an elderly couple, and there's a grey-haired man standing by himself, a younger couple over at the back, two gentlemen standing next to each other, a lady sitting on the bench. There's an officer perhaps just checking the crane stowed properly and spending a couple of seconds listening to the music, and then a younger couple, and so on. So I'm trying to just sort of make realistic matches. You know, I don't want to put a very youthful looking woman with an elderly looking man, because I think again that would be slightly out of character. Trying to keep things relatively sort of predictable. And I'm also trying to sort of put people in relatively obvious positions. So people sitting on benches, leaning against the railings, leaning against the crane, but still leaving a bit of a path for a thoroughfare through. That's the idea. Further down A deck, I've got a man staring out at the sea, a steward walking along the deck, and a couple walking, looking forward. So we're about halfway now. If you look, we've got people all the way along. And of course also some people right at the bow looking forward. So I've got all of this side to go, all of the starboard side, all of the aft section, and I've also got a little bit at the front as well. Right, now I'm just going to do the old patented hit them with a piece of metal test. Now, as always, this looks like me being stupid, but sorry for the poor camera work. What I'm doing here is I'm hitting each of these people with my pliers, just with the aim of making sure the glue has grabbed them pretty securely, because essentially, if I hit them with my pliers and they fall over, it's slightly frustrating, but it's useful because what that means is they would have fallen over anyway. And I've done it when they're nice and accessible, and I can get at them and I can put that right almost immediately. If I left this till later on, it would be much harder to do. So, I'm about halfway through. I've got all of the port side done now, all the way from the bow, right the way aft to the stern, and I've just got the starboard side left to go. Here's a little sort of advantage of adding things like deck chairs in after the fact. Because as you can see, this pillar here has got a really nasty splodge of glue next to it. Doesn't look too great, but if I just plonk a deck chair over the top of it, you hide that almost completely from view. So these sort of like additions, people, deck chairs, benches, anything you add after the fact, if you place them tactfully enough, you can cover up a number of mistakes that you've made. So that's all the stuff I wanted to add on to a deck now. People, deck chairs, benches, the whole shebang. So now what I'll do is I will spray a layer of varnish on top of that, just to sort of protect this stuff. And then I will plonk the boat deck on top and have a see what it all looks like combined into one piece. There we are, a deck all completed. What I'll do now is I'll finish off the video and I will put some still images, because that always seems to show these things better than the moving images do. But I will just go through this and show you everything, and then I'll switch on the lights as well and show those as well, because they help make things easier to see on the promenade decks. Note that the boat deck isn't screwed down yet, so that's why some of these bits look like they're not quite seated properly. Incidentally, and as always, if you see something that you think I might have forgotten, do please let me know in the comments, because it's entirely possible, now we're getting into the really nitty-gritty detail, it's entirely possible that I might forget things. So do let me know if you spot anything. But overall, very happy with how this has turned out. So, if you got any questions or comments, pop them down below and I'll do my best to get back to you. If you've enjoyed the video, do please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.